The courtroom was full. Everyone was staring at Elon Musk as he stood there quiet and calm. Then, some people started laughing. Even the judge smiled a little. Everyone thought Elon was finished, but they didn't know what was coming. One move from him would change everything, not just for him, but for millions of others. So what did Elon reveal that made the whole courtroom go silent? Outside, rain tapped gently against the tall windows of the New York City courthouse. Inside, the sound echoed in the quiet room. The marble floors reflected the dim lights above, making long shadows of the people walking in. The faces in the crowd looked serious, some cold, some curious. Elon Musk sat by himself at the defendant's table. He wore a simple dark suit. He sat up straight, hands folded in his lap. He looked tired, not from no sleep, but from carrying a heavy burden that no one else could see. I've built rockets, I've made it through crashes, but somehow this feels like my loneliest fight, Elon thought. His eyes were focused but distant. Across the room, the lawyers against him whispered and smirked like bullies at school. The case was tough. A group of huge companies was accusing Elon of stealing their technology. He was using it, they claimed, in a new charity project meant to give free internet and education to orphaned kids that the world had forgotten. This wasn't just a lawsuit. It was a battle full of jealousy and fear. The big wooden doors opened and the judge walked in. He was an older man with silver hair, known for liking tradition more than change. His black robe flowed behind him like a wave. He sat down, pushed up his glasses, and let out a small laugh while reading the case papers. Elon noticed, so did everyone else. The whispering grew louder. Some lawyers smiled. Elon took a slow breath and clenched his hands under the table. But deep in that cold room, something was beginning to shift. The laughter echoed in Elon's head, but what happened next would flip the world upside down. The judge barely lifted his head as the lead lawyer for the other side stood up. He smiled smugly and handed a thick pile of papers to the court clerk. Everyone in the room held their breath as the evidence reached the judge. Fake contracts, edited emails, a fake trail, trying to show that Elon was a thief pretending to help others. The judge looked at the papers slowly, sipping coffee like he was bored. A cold breeze seemed to move through the room. Elon's lawyers looked nervous. They shifted in their seats and gave each other worried looks. Their lead lawyer cleared his throat, but said nothing. Elon stayed still, watching every move. He felt a pressure in his chest he couldn't explain. Then he stood up carefully. His voice was calm and quiet. I never hid anything. The code was open source. Anyone could see it. We built this for the world, not for money, Elon said. His voice echoed like a tired promise. But the court wasn't really listening. Cameras clicked all over the room. Flash after flash, like lightning before a storm. Whispers from the crowd. Fraud. Liar. Fake hero. Elon stood alone, the pressure building with each second. A memory flashed in his mind. Himself as a boy, standing in a schoolyard, his books on the ground. Kids laughing at him. He kept his head down, fists clenched, refusing to cry. He had learned early that fighting back just made it worse. That sometimes silence was your only shield. For a second, the courtroom faded away. He wasn't a billionaire, not an inventor, just a misunderstood kid again, tired, alone, backed into a corner. He sat down slowly, feeling everyone watching him without really seeing him. Then another memory came, of a boy in a small African village, crouched under a broken streetlight, trying to read a torn book. The dim light flickered, but the boy didn't give up. That boy was Elon's reason. That boy gave him hope. But now even that hope felt far away. The other side kept throwing lies at Elon. His lawyers leaned in and whispered, "Take a deal. Pay them off quietly. Protect your name. Walk away." For a moment, Elon thought about it. Signing papers, writing the check, hiding behind his wealth. Maybe they were right. Maybe it wasn't worth it. Maybe the world didn't deserve the fight. Then he noticed movement in the back of the courtroom. A young woman, maybe 20, sat there. She wasn't dressed like the others. No fancy suit, no shiny shoes. Just a worn jacket, hands clenched in her lap. Her knuckles were white. Her eyes were wide and scared. She was staring at Elon. He blinked, not sure if she was real or just a memory. But she was real. And in that moment, when their eyes met, something passed between them. Something powerful. She looked like someone who had known hunger, who had fought for a future, who was holding on by a thread. And Elon was that thread. He looked away, but something inside him hardened. This wasn't about companies, or pride, or even him. If I fall today, Elon thought, they lose tomorrow. The judge called for closing arguments. The other side walked up, cocky and sure of victory. Elon's lawyers looked small, almost defeated. But Elon stayed still. His mind was racing, not with fear, but with clarity. Everything he had done, every challenge he had overcome, it all led to this moment. Not for fame, not for money, but for them, the forgotten kids, the unheard voices. The young woman in the back gave him a tiny nod. He saw it, and it broke something inside him open, something fear had buried. He stood up. No lawyer, no notes. The courtroom turned confused. The judge looked up, slightly annoyed. The other side laughed. But Elon was already moving. Slow, steady, like gravity itself was pushing him forward. He didn't go to the witness stand, not to his team. He walked straight to the judge. The bailiff moved in, unsure, but Elon raised a calm hand. His voice was quiet but firm. "Your Honor," he said, "I have something you need to see." The room stirred, just when all hope seemed gone. Elon did something no one expected. The courtroom fell silent again. Elon stood with his hands at his sides, looking at the judge. He wasn't supposed to speak. His lawyers were frozen behind him. "I'd like to speak without my attorneys," Elon said, respectful but firm. The judge chuckled dryly, leaning back. "Well, Mr. Musk, go ahead, impress us." Everyone caught the sarcasm. Elon didn't flinch. He took a breath, viewing every stare, every doubt. In his mind, he saw himself again, a younger version, in a tiny apartment, freezing, studying borrowed books, unseen but full of big dreams. "You think this is about money?" Elon began, slowly. "About winning? About power?" The judge smirked. Elon stood his ground. "Right now, out there, kids have hope because of a Wi-Fi signal powered by satellites." His voice shook slightly, but grew stronger. "You can call me a fool. You can laugh. But I won't stand here and let you kill children's dreams just because it doesn't fit your system." The room changed. A tiny shift, but real. Some lawyers looked uncomfortable. The clerk paused. Even the judge's smirk faded. Elon reached into his jacket. No threat, just a small tablet. "If I may," he said, holding it up. The judge nodded. Elon gave it to the bailiff, who took it to the judge. The judge, now more serious, tapped the screen. The footage began. Not fancy ads, real clips from the ground. A girl in a war-torn village, holding a tablet, tears in her eyes, attending her first online class. A boy in a refugee camp, laughing while speaking with a teacher far away. Every video had proof, location, date, real witnesses. One after another, teachers, orphans, aid workers gave their honest stories about how Elon's project had reached places no one else would. Silence fell. No one moved. The judge, once bored, now looked pale. His hand shook slightly as he put down his coffee. The videos kept playing. No edits, no tricks, just truth. Then the screen went dark. Elon said nothing else. No defense, no praise, just silence. The judge cleared his throat, but his voice cracked. He tried to speak, but stopped. Even the other side's lawyers looked at each other, ashamed, unsure. Elon looked at the young woman in the back. She was crying now, quietly, her hands over her mouth. And just like that, the power in the room changed. The companies didn't look strong anymore. The court didn't feel untouchable. It was one man, tired but unbroken, carrying 1,000,000 hopes. The judge leaned back, now fully understanding the weight of what he was about to do. He looked at Elon differently. Without waiting for the ruling, Elon stepped back, letting the silence speak for him. Because sometimes, it's not the words, it's the truth. The reporters lowered their cameras. They weren't chasing a scandal anymore. They were witnessing something rare. And then, Elon did what no one expected. He didn't brag. He didn't attack. He just smiled. Small, tired, but full of strength. The world changed that day. Not just Elon's life, but the very meaning of justice. The judge's gavel hit the desk. Case dismissed. Gasps spread across the room. Cameras flashed. Reporters whispered, trying to capture history. The companies once confident now looked exposed. Fines came fast. For lying, for abusing the court. Elon stood still, taking it all in. Then he bowed slightly to the judge. "Thank you, Your Honor," he said. No victory speech, no celebration, just quiet respect. As he turned to leave, he saw the young woman again. She stood now, tears on her face, holding her old backpack tight. Elon gave her a small smile, not of pride, but of shared strength. They both had changed. Outside, the world changed fast. Elon's project didn't just survive. It grew fast. Donations flooded in. Even governments came to him for help. In 6 months, the project tripled in size. But Elon didn't stop. At a small press event, not a big concert, he made an announcement that shook the world. "We're bringing free satellite internet to rural schools on 5 continents, he said. "No contracts, no conditions, just connection." The crowd clapped. Elon didn't bask in the praise. He was there because somewhere, a kid like him was opening a door to a future they didn't know was possible. Months later, at a global Tesla summit full of engineers, teachers, and volunteers, new tech was being shown, and big ideas were being born. But nothing that day would outshine what came next.